Hey you guys, and welcome to Homeschool 101. I am so happy that you decided to choose me to help you start your homeschooling journey. Now, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a homeschooling mom of 7 years, and I was also previously a homeschool student. So I went to elementary school and junior high school in the public school system, and then for high school, I started homeschooling, which is where I graduated from. So I know a little bit of both sides on, the world of homeschooling and the world of public schooling, and I am here to give you all of my knowledge from all of the years to help you be successful in your homeschooling career. So now we're going to talk about what is homeschool. Well, homeschool is exactly like it sounds. It is you educating your child at home. Now, all because you are going to be a homeschooling parent doesn't automatically make you an enemy of a public school parent. A lot of new homeschoolers, parents get that kind of confused. We are not their enemy. We are choosing to do what we feel is best for our children. Now, there are several branches of homeschool. There's unschooling, world schooling, road schooling, classical, etc. I will break down to you the 10 different types of homeschooling so you can kind of get an idea of what you want to do and how you're going to decide to homeschool your child. So next we're going to talk about if your child is enrolled in public school already. If you have a child that is enrolled in public school, you will have to unenroll them, which means pull them out of school, and you will have to inform the school that you will be homeschooling. Don't worry, I will be attaching a PDF that you can edit and print and then take to the school, or you can mail to the school to let them know that they are officially unenrolled and they will not be coming back. Now, if you have a child that has never gone to public school, you can go ahead and start homeschooling right away. Now, depending on the state, this is a little bit different because certain states like California wants you to submit certain things for a public, saying that you're, not a public school, a private school at a certain time of year. So each state will be a little bit different, but in general, you can go ahead and start homeschooling right away. Now, as a reminder, homeschool is in many states considered private schools. A state like California doesn't even have the word homeschool come up in any of their laws, which was like a fun trivia fact, right? So you are going to be considered your own private school and you will reap the benefits of that. Now, a common question that a lot of people have is it really expensive to homeschool? Now, homeschooling is going to be what you make it. There are some people who spend little to no money to homeschool, and there are some people who want the most expensive curriculums, and they decide that that's best for their family. Later on, I will be showing you a little bit of both so you can make that decision on your own. I'm also going to give you guys a PDF download of the top 10 homeschool blogs that may help you along your homeschool journey. Next, we're going to talk about the 10 different types of homeschooling. Number 1, traditional homeschooling, or also known as school at home. So traditional homeschooling is literally what it sounds like. This would be a good transition for someone who maybe has a child that has been going to public school their whole lives, and now they're trying to transition them to homeschool. Then they basically are kind of doing their exact same schoolwork, but at home on a computer, sometimes even with the teacher on the other side. So that's traditional homeschooling. If even without a teacher, they're still kind of covering the same exact coursework, doing the same similar hours, etc. So when you think about regular public school, it's kind of the exact same thing, just at home. That is traditional homeschooling. Next, we have classical homeschooling. Classical homeschooling is one of the older forms of homeschooling that's been around for years. And, it comes from, I believe, its Latin background. They focus on grammar, logic, and biblical education. So if you are not religious, then this would not be a homeschooling option for you or your children. They also encourage debates and opinions on different topics. So like I said, this is one of the older ones, and so if you are a Christian, this might be a good option for you, but if you are not, then I would suggest maybe doing another one. Next, we have Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason focuses on elementary age students. So with the Charlotte Mason method, homeschool is usually broken up into 15 to 20 minutes study period at a time. So there's shorter gaps of studying, and then they do a few of those throughout the day. Another thing that's encouraged is daily journals. And so when the children are doing their nature walk, they kind of keep track of what they see outside, and they try to write something different in their journal about their surroundings every day. Next one is Montessori homeschooling. So Montessori homeschooling is child-led also. They kind of set them up where they have different sections, and the children can kind of pick what they want to do. They also have the older and younger children working together. And this study was done with special needs children, and they said that it had great results. So if you have a special needs child, this might be a great option for you. Next, we have the Waldorf homeschooling. Waldorf homeschooling is created to make well-rounded children with the emphasis in using art, music, physical education, emotional studies, and academics. So if this sounds good to you, this is for you. Next, we have unit studies. So with unit studies, it's similar to the name. You study by unit. For example, if a child is learning about China, well, they would do some history about maybe the Great Wall of China. And then maybe for home economics, they will be cooking Chinese cuisine. And then maybe they'll be learning some math, numbers in Chinese. So they just kind of have one topic, and then they'll do different studies, different subjects on the matter, like math, English, history, etc. So if you're the kind of parent who likes to overlap learning with activities, then unit studies will be a great option for you. Now we're going to talk about road schooling. So road schooling, I wish my husband would let me road school. So road schooling is when you pack up your whole family, you guys are in an RV, you hit the road, and your children learn as you go. They're learning at different landmarks, with different things that they see. They get to experience everything firsthand, hands-on. And I feel like this is an amazing option if you can do road schooling. One thing to keep in mind about road schooling is it does look a little bit different depending on the family. So there's some families that road school and their children also do some work online, or their children also do some learning apps, or they also have some actual book work that they do. So for every family, it's a little bit different, but like I keep saying, do whatever works best for you and your child. Next, we have world schooling. So world schooling, once again, it's kind of like what it sounds. This is for families that travel the world, and they really get to see things firsthand. They get to learn about different cultures, backgrounds, languages, landmarks, foods, just different places. So when you're talking about a wealth of knowledge, that's what I feel like world schoolers are getting, to really be able to be everywhere and learn. It's an amazing opportunity. A lot of people, they'll travel to just one country in college to learn somewhere for 6 months or whatever. But to do that from a young age all the way throughout, just imagine the wealth of information they'll have by the time they graduate school. So I think world schooling is a fantastic option for those who can't afford it. So electric homeschooling is also child-led. And so basically how it works is, say your child is interested in something like, rain and how that works. Well, their mother might turn on the TV and put on a science show to explain everything about rain. So it really just kind of goes hand in hand with what they're curious with. That's kind of how they learn. Lastly, we have unschooling. So unschooling was actually created by a public school teacher who had the belief that children stopped learning because they were in the school setting. And so unschooling was created. So with unschooling, children, once again, this is child-led. And so children kind of just go off on their own, say in nature, and they kind of see what they're interested in. And then whatever they're interested in, their parents will put more learning material about that subject around so that they can learn further. And so they just kind of unschool themselves, and that with the help of their parents. It does not mean that they are not learning, because they are learning. And just so you know, unschooling does fall under the same umbrella of homeschooling. It is definitely legal in all 50 states of the United States of America. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because I know a lot of people believe that unschooling is not homeschooling, when in fact it actually is. Now, as far as for me and my children, I would say that we never pick just one. We're kind of all over, and I pick different things from different methods, because I feel like some of everything can be beneficial. We do book work, we do study the Bible, we do travel, we do home economics, where we're incorporating different foods and stuff from different cultures that we're learning about and things like that. So we're kind of all over, and I love it, because I feel like when you just stick to one thing, you almost kind of limit yourself. And I didn't want to be put in a box of any particular thing. And that's why I enjoy not having one particular curriculum. And I like pulling from different places, because we enjoy different things from different places. So I hope this helps you to kind of decide what you want to do next, and which homeschooling method you are going to choose for your family. HSLDA is the website you will be coming to find out your homeschool law for your state. This site covers homeschool laws for all 50 states. Now, once you come to this site, you will go ahead and type in your state, and you do not have to worry. There are videos here that will explain to you step by step the laws. It will also explain to you every subject required and what your state requirements are. So you do not have to worry. It will be broken down in detail. And every state, like I said, is a little bit different. So make sure you go ahead and watch the video so that you know exactly what the laws are for your state before you start homeschooling. Next, we're going to talk about the fear of homeschooling because of feeling inadequate. Let me tell you, I have been there. I've asked myself, oh my gosh, am I smart enough to do this? What am I going to do when they get to a grade level and I just don't know what to do? I don't know the material anymore. What am I going to do? Can I actually do this? Now, as I was scrolling on Instagram one day, I came across a quote, and it just put the nail in the coffin for me. What the quote said was, why send your kids to the very place that left you feeling inadequate? Guys, when I read that, I was like, they got a point. Because what's the point of that, of sending your child to a school that has failed you realistically, and now you want to do the same to them? Or you can try your best and get all the resources that they have for homeschoolers and utilize that, trying to give them the best chance possible. Remember, all because you are a homeschooling parent does not mean you have to do it on your own. There are so many resources. I will speak of some, but there are so many resources, especially within the library, where they also will do tutoring for your child. You can also get resources through the state. So there's some options to get resources for tutoring in case your child is, or you're pulling them out of public school and they're already behind, or whatever the situation is. There's online classes. You can have someone come to your home and also help teach a subject. You can have your spouse teach a subject, or other family members. You do not have to do it all alone. Also, when I was feeling this way, I looked up the definition of inadequate, and it said lacking the quality or quantity required, insufficient for the purpose. Understand, when I read that, I'm like, no, I am not insufficient for the purpose, and you are not either. As a parent, we have been teaching our child from day one. The numbers, the letter, how to walk, how to read, we've been teaching them. And so homeschooling is just an extension of what you have already been doing. I want you to know that it has been proven that the parent's educational level had no bearing on the child's success rate. So if you are a homeschooling parent, which you will be, you don't have to worry about that. There is no study showing that all because you didn't have even a high school education, that you are not going to be good enough to homeschool. Nothing supports that. Now say you are teaching your child a subject and you really just don't know. Here are a few things you can do. The first thing you can do is study the lesson before you teach your child. The second thing you can do, like you used to see your teachers do back in the day in public school, look in the back of the book. The back of the book have the answer. So if you are unsure of the answer, it's going to be there. Find the answer, figure out how to do it, get help. You can learn how to do it or learn with your child. There's so many options. Now I want to share with you guys 2 quotes that hopefully sticks to you. The first one is, successful mothers are not the ones that never struggle. They are the ones that never give up despite struggling. Understand, like I said, sometimes with homeschooling, you may have some days where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling today. It might happen, but just don't give up. The next quote is, a mother is someone who can take the place of all others, but whose place no one else can take. This also includes educating your children. No one knows your children better than you do. No one understands how they learn better than you do. No one knows their abilities or disability better than you do. You have the best knowledge to teach your child. Always remember that your children are your greatest contribution to this world, and you want to do your part in raising great, wonderful, stable children. Why you should homeschool. The fact that you are here shows that you have a real, true desire to educate your child at home. I'm going to tell you right now, this desire is not going away. Yeah, you may have hard days where you're kind of tired or the kids are not being cooperative, but you will always know in your hearts of hearts that you homeschooling your child is what's best for them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you some reasons why I decided to homeschool. My first reason was safety. I couldn't mentally deal with the idea of sending my child to a school where I may not be able to pick them up from. That in itself was a lot. My child can have catered learning to them. So like one of my daughters, she's really into arts and crafts, and the other one, she's really into reading. So I can really cater their curriculum to their needs, one with more arts, one with more reading and activities, right? So that's a definite benefit of homeschooling, and they have one-on-one attention, unlike in public school now, who are definitely understaffed. They are begging for teachers and teachers' aid. And when I was going to public school, you're talking 1 to 30. I only could imagine what it is right now. Another thing that I really love is just being able to take advantage of the precious years we have with our children. Like, I didn't have a child to have someone else raise them or to have them gone most of the hours throughout the week. I want them home with me. I want to raise them. I want them home with me. I want to raise them. I want to teach them my morals and my standards. And so I feel like if they're at home, I could truly do this. You know, I could work on hands-on skills and real life skills. Also, my children being able to sleep in until they wake up naturally was a big thing for me. Children are always growing and they need that extra rest. So for me to have to wake my child up at 5 or 6 a.m. to get them out to school, to have them sit behind a desk for hours that are not even necessary, because even the public school said when the whole COVID thing happened and they sent everybody home, they were homeschooling 2 to 3 hours a day. So what are y'all doing in school for the rest of the hours? You know what I'm saying? So my children, they do not have to wake up early. We don't have to have long hours because, like I told you, it's catered to us. We also benefit from our freedom to travel. We have traveled to about 30 of the 50 states here in the United States and out of the country. And this is all as a result of the flexibility of homeschooling. Another thing is having full control of their curriculum. Now, depending on who you are, you may not want, the United States to go ahead and teach your children about history or to teach them about, the way math is done. Now, whatever it may be, whatever the case is, the thing is you have full control of what your child is learning at all times. And I feel like that just cannot even be replaced. Another benefit is having no SAT test or no testing at all. Now, in the state of Texas, it is not required to test. In some other states, there are. But one thing I really love for myself personally, for my children, is that they don't have to have that unnecessary stress. There are some children who have committed suicide as a result of feeling the pressure behind wanting to do so good on these tests. And at the end of the day, these tests do not matter. Also, knowing that schools were created to make workers and not thinkers, I said, that's not for me. I'm starting my children young. I want them to be their own entrepreneur. I have one working on her art business and the other one, she has a tie-dye business. And so instead of wasting all them extra hours sitting behind a desk, they are spending this time perfecting their craft. So when they are of age, they're going to be good at what they do. And homeschoolers have that freedom to start nonprofits, to start their own companies, to make their own little side cash. They have the freedom and the time to do it. Another public school students stress over are being graded. That's something that I really do not do with my children. I see what they do, and where I see they need improvement on, we'll work on that a little bit more, but I do not do formal grades because I feel like it's unnecessary. At the end of the day, the point is for them to learn, not to feel bad because they have a C opposed to an A, etc. Not necessary. Now, what I'm going to need you to do right now is I'm going to need you to write down your whys, the reason why you want to homeschool, because your reason whys is going to get you through the entire homeschool process, because there will be days, just like before homeschooling, when you had a bad day. Well, as a homeschooling mom, there will be days where you're feeling overwhelmed, where you're feeling tired, where you're feeling like, did I make the right decision? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I wise enough? Am I educated enough? All of these are gonna flood your mind after a while, and you may feel incompetent, but do not worry, mama or papa, you got this. So a lot of you wanna know, can you work and homeschool? Now, I want you guys to know there is a growing number of new homeschooling parents who are also full-time employees, or they're working from their home for their own self. But they do work full-time in homeschool, and it is definitely possible. Now, reminder, homeschooling is your own private school. The time when you're homeschooling starts and ends is totally up to you. So, for example, there are some mothers or fathers who are working, and so they will go to work, say from a 9 to 5, while their children is with their parents, and with their parents throughout the day, they're on learning apps, and their grandparents are teaching them maybe Spanish or whatever the second language may be, and they're doing all of that. And then when they go and pick up their children and take them home, well, they'll homeschool them, depending on your child age, from 30 minutes up to about 2 hours. And so say, for example, you got your child at 6 and you started homeschooling at 6:30, you can be done by 8 o'clock. You know, so it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. The thing is that because of the one-on-one attention, you can cover the material much more quickly. There are some parents who decide to homeschool their children 3 or 4 days a week opposed to the 5 days, and they might do a schedule like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they'll teach them 2 hours, after work, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, they'll teach them the same 2 hours. Like I said, any day is okay. You can teach them on the weekends, you can teach them weekdays, as long as they're covering the material that you want them to cover and they're learning what they need to learn. Flexibility is amazing at this point. Another great option that homeschool parents are using that work from home is they also will have their children do online classwork, sometimes right next to them. And their children are not really talking, so they're able to work. And then when they need help, they kind of look over and help them with their work. And so they're kind of multitasking back and forth, and they're working and homeschooling kind of simultaneously. And that works for a lot of people also. Another thing you can do if you have really young children and you're working from home, you can set up different learning things around the house, maybe blocks, numbers, letters, crayons, markers, whatever, whatever your child is interested in, kind of set that up around the house and let them do whatever they kind of gravitate to, and they can do some school without you having to be totally hands-on at the moment. And then say when you take your lunch break, you can homeschool them for 30 minutes or an hour, and you can be done for the day depending on the age of your child. Or after you get off of work, you can do that too. And then as mothers, you read stories to your children at night before bed, or they can read stories to you, and that can also be part of the curriculum. Also, a good thing would be to join a working mom support group on Facebook. They have tons of those, and you can find out more ways on how they do it. Another one I heard that I thought was a really good idea, and this is for a single parent because not everyone is married. But for a single parent, what they've done is, so them and their friend, they're both homeschooling mothers. And so they will homeschool, say, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday when their friend is working. And then their friend will homeschool Thursday, Friday, Saturday when they're working. So they end up with 2 homeschool teachers with them and their friends. And it's absolutely okay to have your friend help you homeschool your child. And so they kind of go back and forth. And that way, someone is always with the child and the child is always learning. Also, like I said before, the library offered tutors and great resources, so you can definitely utilize that along your journey of homeschooling as a working mom. And so, like I said, they can do things online. They can even be tutoring online while you are making dinner. You know what I'm saying? So really try to I'm not going to say juggle things because I know as a single mom, you're juggling things. My mom was a single mom and it was a lot. She had 6 children. But you can really try to, get a lot done. It can be accomplished. I don't want you to feel like it is impossible because it's not. My last suggestion would be for you to embrace a relaxed homeschooling style. That way it's not too much on you or on the child. And as you do that, also prepare yourself for the unexpected. Know that anything can happen and you can go ahead and adjust your schedule around the homeschooler. That's what I'm talking about with the flexibility. Maybe if you were teaching them for 30 minutes on your lunch break and now, your boss says your meeting ran late. Okay, well, you can teach them later. You could even teach them before work. I know some of you guys work in the evening. So that's ideal. Go ahead and teach them before work. So like I said, expect the unexpected. It really doesn't have to be so structured to where you're putting immense pressure on yourself or your child. Relax. This is part of, like I said, an extension of parenting, and you got this. Next, we're going to talk about unsupportive friends and family members. Trust me when I tell you, I know exactly how this feels. When I approached my husband and told him that I wanted to homeschool our children, he was not interested. And as a result, I had to prove myself for him to get on board. So I get what you mean. So what are some of the things you can do if you are dealing with unsupportive friends or family members? Number 1, the first thing you can do is try to educate them about homeschooling, letting them know the pros of homeschooling and the reasons why you want to. A lot of times for friends or family, they may not understand the world of homeschooling, so they may be a little apprehensive. But if you kind of let them know what's going on, why you want to, and tell them your real reasons behind homeschooling, they may go ahead and get on board. Now, you're going to have some family members that, regardless of what you say, they feel like public school is best. And some people, you just can't change their minds, and that's okay also, right? Now, you even have the option as a homeschooling parent to decide if you're even going to discuss the homeschooling option or not. Some people just say, listen, this is my decision. I have made up my mind, regardless of what you say, this is what I'm doing. Now, I would say try to get as many people on your side as possible. And the reason why I say this is because homeschool can be a community effort, and it'll be easier on you if you can help, if you have help from other people. For example, if you have maybe a mother or a grandmother who can teach their children a second language, or if you have a uncle or whoever who was into sports who could take him to, be on a sport team or whatever it is. So sometimes having the extra help from family can really pay off. Another thing is setting firm boundaries. There are a lot of family members who feel like all because your kids are homeschooled, they have the right to ask them questions. For example, how many presidents were they? Or, just whatever the random question is to see if your homeschooler knows the answer. And my thing is, as their parent and as their educator, you can set a boundary to say, hey, listen, my children are learning what they need to learn. I don't need you to quiz my children all because they're homeschooled. That's not okay. And that takes the pressure off of you as a parent and also off of your child. So I know when you have a spouse that's unsupportive, this can be really challenging, trying to get them to come on board, especially as wives who are trying to be obedient to their husband and respect his wishes. So one of the things that I did when I started homeschooling my first child was after I talked to my husband about it and he wasn't really on board, I started to homeschool her before the age of school began. That way I kind of gave myself a head start. And so he started to see all the things she knew she was going to have to relearn again if I were to put her in school at that grade because she knew already. And he saw the benefits of homeschooling, of her being ahead, of her being home with the family where she is safe. You know what I'm saying? And so after time, he saw that and he said, you know what, you're right. We're never going to put her in public school. And that's how I did it. So if you are in the same position, go ahead and just start. Sometimes seeing is believing. Also, in order to homeschool, you kind of have to prepare yourself for the naysayers. There's going to be people who don't believe in your ability to homeschool or who don't believe that your child is getting a fair education. And you're going to have to prepare yourself and know that, yeah, this is their opinion, but this is not the reality. You are doing what's best for your child. So something you can do is highlight your child's achievement. And another thing when dealing with your spouse is you can involve him with the curriculum, kind of show him, look, this is what I plan on teaching the child throughout the year. And this is what public school is going to be teaching them. This is what I have already taught her. And so they can kind of see for themselves, hey, wow, this might be a better idea. And they may go with the decision that you have already made within your heart. It's funny, there's an actual saying that says, if you don't have anything nice to say, then say it to a homeschooler. And some people are really like that. They will think of the most absurd things to say to a homeschooling parent or a homeschooler. So there will be naysayers. There will be people speaking negatively about homeschooler. You're just going to have to brush them off and do what you know is best for you and your family. Next, we're going to talk about, will homeschooling make your kid weird? I know this is a huge concern for some, feeling like homeschooling will make their kids weird. Well, let me just start off by saying there is no evidence to support this myth. None at all. I know that a lot of people ask themselves this question, as even ask other homeschooling mothers this question. But the thing is, weird is kind of subjective, right? It's really about what people believe is different. So will your homeschooler be different as a result of being homeschooled from a public school student? In some ways, yes. Different, like they're not exposed to so much trash, really. Maybe they're not walking around and, using a bunch of profanity. Maybe they're not so into the name brands that, school children emphasize. If you're not wearing the latest Jordans or the whatever, then, you're not cool or whatever. So maybe they're not into that. Like, I know there's some homeschoolers that, 13 and they're playing with dolls, and other kids that are 13, they're into boys, having sex and getting pregnant, while your child is just being a child. So I feel like they get the purity of a child kind of mixed up. And so they're just kind of like, oh my gosh, well, that's weird that, you want to spend time with your family. That's weird that, you're not into boys or girls at this time in your life. That's weird that you're so close to your family and you're always with them. They feel like sometimes the way they dress is even kind of weird. And the thing about homeschoolers is they're not dressed to impress anybody. They're dressed in something that they're comfortable with. They are expressing their individuality. The thing about public school is they want everybody to kind of conform to what they feel is the cool way to dress. And homeschool kids, they don't have that pressure. pressure. They have not been brainwashed to believe that what everyone else is wearing is something that they should be wearing. And so people may see that as weird. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes my daughter is wearing shorts and boots or whatever, a princess dress, whatever she wants, whatever she feels comfortable with. And that's okay. They also enjoy their alone time. Some people may think that's weird, that sometimes they just want to, sit back, chill, and read a book because they're used to, watching TV and games and going out and doing all this. And sometimes homeschoolers just want to chill. Or another thing people find weird is that homeschoolers socialize with everybody. I know when I was in public school, I remember being at a bus stop with one of my friends, and an older woman was there, and I was just talking to her because why not? And she was like, oh, that's weird. Why are you talking to her? And I'm like, why not? So just even the age group that you want to talk to, that could be considered as weird also. Another thing that makes a homeschooler look weird is that they enjoy learning. So there's sometimes when we go to different classes or programs where kids are like fooling around and making noise, whatever, and my kids are focused. They want to learn. They want to be a part of what is actually being taught. And so I guess in public school, they're so used to being distracted all over the place. It's weird for someone to actually sit down and do what they came here to do. Homeschoolers are also really good at embracing and showing their real emotions. And if you know anything about public school, if you are sad and you cry, people are going to be like, you are soft, you are a baby, you are this, that. And homeschoolers, they get to just show their feelings, live their truth. And that to some people is weird. And it's like, since when just being a human being and embracing yourself and doing what you want is weird? Another thing people find weird about homeschoolers is the fact that they carry their parents' beliefs, their moral standards and, whatever they believe in, they believe those things too. And a lot of people these days, they don't really have a belief. And so that could be also weird for them too. At the end of the day, anyone can be weird. There's no study showing that a homeschooler is more weird or more socially awkward than any other public school kid. At the end of the day, people think whatever is different is weird. And are there some things different about homeschoolers? Yes. And are there some things different about public school students? Absolutely. So don't pressure yourself too much about if they're going to be weird. They're going to be 100% them. Socialization. This is a big one. When you become a homeschooler, you're going to get this question all the time. Some people genuinely concerned and some people just, being a jerk. But socialization is a big one. First, let me start off by saying forced socialization is not socializations. I don't know about you, but I went to public school and there was so many awkward moments when my teacher tried to put me with other students to do maybe a project together. And these people weren't really my friends, but what do you do? And so you're forced to socialize with people that you may not even want to. A lot of kids have reached out to me telling me this very thing have caused them anxiety, and this is the reason why they no longer want to be in public school. On top of that, kids sit in their classroom and they listen to their teacher tell them, shh, stop talking, stop socializing. Now is not the time. So I guess between the 10 to 15 minute recess and the 20 to 30 minute lunch, this is the only time they're supposed to be socializing, right? Opposed to a homeschooler who is speaking all day long, granted mostly to their family in the home, and then when they're outside to their friends and other people, but they are speaking all day long. Then when they go out to all of these different meetups and sports, etc., they are constantly socializing. So they have more time talking to people, and not just people of the same age, but people of all different age throughout the day. Research have even shown that children that are homeschooled are not being harmed in the social realm of things. They're saying that there's no evidence to prove that a child that is homeschooled is any more or less socially awkward than a public school child. They're also saying, in fact, if anything, homeschool children are more social. And this is from other studies. They're more social. They're able to talk to people from different age groups, and they're able to get along with pretty much anyone because they've been taught from infancy that Somebody that's 80 can be your friend, and somebody that's 2 can be your friend. And we know in the public school system, you're stuck with your grade. So, you might have someone that's a few months older and a few months younger than you. But other than that, you are stuck with the same age group of kids. And I do see that with like my nephews and my nieces who are not used to being around different age groups constantly. They're usually stuck speaking to children. And so one thing I love about the homeschool children is from birth, they've been taught to speak to anyone, and this trait helps them throughout their life to socialize with anyone. My children are constantly socializing with people, whether we're in the store, we're at the library, wherever we are, they are always socializing. So I don't want you guys mixing up the public school, forcing kids to conform and speak to people in their age group as being socialization. Real socialization is mastered when you can speak to anyone, anywhere. And homeschoolers have been proven to be great at this. So you, as a new homeschooling mom, you do not have to worry about if your child is going to be able to socialize or any of that. There's no studies. These are myths. There's nothing to support that. Next, I'm going to tell you where you can take your children to socialize them. Where to socialize my children? So this is a huge question. I get this one a lot. Where to socialize? Now, think about when you were in school, where did you go outside of school to socialize? You can start there. Now, I'm going to give you some places where you can take your children to socialize. First, museums. Not only is a museum a great place for your homeschooler to come across other children of their age, older and younger, and kids to play with, kids to exchange their numbers with, etc. They also have classes offered at museums just for homeschool students. The zoo is another great place. Not only do they have tons of kids running up and down the zoo all hours of the day, and some which are homeschool, they also have classes designed just for homeschoolers where you can go ahead and you could drop them off in the morning and pick them up in the afternoon while you walk around the zoo, and they can go and learn. They have a whole class on different animals, etc. And so this is a great way for them to socialize. A third place you can take your child to socialize is the library. The local library have tons of classes throughout the day, even evening classes. They have pajama story times. Our local library in specific, they have pajama story times. They have game nights. They have movie nights. Our local library have so many different things on the calendar, and this is a great way to keep your kids socializing. The park is another great place. What you can do is, let them go, let them socialize. And then when they make a friend, they can exchange numbers. And before you guys go to that park again, they can call them up. Hey, when are you going to be back at the park? I want to meet you there. Let's hang out. Let's have fun, etc. And now, boom, there's a friend. So the park is another good one. Another place I take my kids to socialize is our place of worship. And now if you're not a religious person, I know this won't apply to you. But if you are, have them be a part of whatever your place of worship is. Have them socialize with all of these people. So that's another great way. And usually most people go to their place of worship once, twice a week. Another way to get your kids socializing is to get them in a Facebook group with other homeschoolers that they can talk to. I know some moms, they are like, oh my God, I am antisocial and I do not want to go to a social event. Have them link up with some kids in a Facebook homeschooler group so they can talk to them, message back and forth, even be a pen pal. Also, when you go to visit your family and friends, that is also excellent socialization for your child. Another thing I do to socialize them is to take them to classes like arts and crafts stores like Michael's and Joann's. They have classes that you can take your homeschoolers to make certain things, and there's always other kids at those classes. And then hardware stores like Home Depot and Lowe's, and I'm going to show you guys this a little bit later, but they also have classes in the first weekend of the month where they can go with a bunch of other kids and they can build things. So there's so many different things you can do. I'm going to show you guys some resources that I use to keep my kids out, active, and socializing. So I know when a lot of people get started with homeschooling, they go out and they buy the expensive desk and they put all these posters up on their wall and they really just buy the most expensive stuff. I'm going to tell you in the beginning, do not make a huge purchase for homeschooling because homeschooling changed and your children change. Now, my children and many of other homeschoolers, they don't even like to work at a desk. You know, most homeschoolers are working at their kitchen table, on the couch, on their mom's bed, etc. I also saw a study that says that putting too many posters on the wall can actually clutter your children's thinking. And so for my homeschoolers, I kind of don't have anything on the wall except for a map. And what I do is the things that I would have put on the wall in a big poster farm, I get a folder, and in the folder, I put those same subjects, like say if we're going over clocks or whatever, and I'll put, whatever the subject is, the words are, whatever that I want them to learn for that school year, and I use the folder instead. That way, the walls are not all cluttered or ruined by tape and nails, and your kids still get to learn the material they need to learn. And another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is record keeping. After you've been homeschooling for a while, you're going to be flooded with papers. And so in Texas, we're not required to keep any records, but what I like to do is, for example, if my child is working from a workbook, usually in the back, there's a certificate or something, right? Look. So usually I'll just cut out this certificate, put their first name, last name, and the date, and then I have a folder for each child that I keep. And so each one has just a few certificates and a few different workbook pages. And when I say workbook pages, some workbooks don't have the certificate in the back. So what I'll do is I'll take the very first page of the book and I'll rip it off and I'll write their name and the year and everything like that. And so that way it's like in the folder, but I'm not going to keep, something that big. And so that way I can keep the papers down, but still kind of keep track for my own records and then also for memorabilia for my homeschoolers. Next, we're going to talk about diplomas, transcripts, and college graduation. All right, so for diplomas, you as a homeschooling mom, as your own private school, you can go ahead and create your own child's diploma. If you don't know how to do this, do not worry. I am going to have a link for you guys to print out a kindergarten, it's not called a diploma, certificate, a kindergarten certificate, one for 5th grade, one for 8th grade, and a high school diploma. It's all in the package. Don't worry, I got you. I know when you're starting, this can be a little difficult, but yes, as your own private school, all you're going to have to do is edit the name of your school, put in your child information and print. That is it. You create your own diploma. You don't need anyone else to do it for you. So as far as the transcripts are concerned, I'm also going to have another PDF for you down below that you can edit and print. In the PDF that you see, I'm going to fill it in with the Texas standards. All you have to do is go to your state website and see the standards for graduation, and you can make sure that your children are taking those courses while they are in high school. Usually it's like algebra 1 and 2 and English, So my kids are not at that stage yet, but I have been looking into it for you guys. And so like I said, I will fill it out. And all you have to do is go on your own education website in your state, type in the requirements for high school graduation. They're going to tell you the classes that needs to be completed. And over the next course of the 4 years, or some homeschool parents, they do it in 2, or some of them, they do have homeschool and have college classes. You can also do that too, because college classes count for double. But like I said, I will be linking the sample transcript below that you can edit and you can print out yourself. So one of the next big questions is, can my homeschooler get into college? Not only can they get into a community college, but even Ivy League college have accepted homeschoolers. So you have to know in advance what school you want your homeschooler to go to, what school they want to go to. And then as you're doing their transcript, you can put in certain things that a specific college is looking for, like community service or, different things that you can add to your child's transcript to make them look better, whether it be public speaking events or whatever. 69% of homeschoolers successfully graduate college, and that is actually higher than public school children. And colleges are actually preferring homeschool students to attend because of their success rate. And according to ies.ed.gov, they said students who are homeschooled earn higher first and fourth GPAs. So we are there. Don't worry. Like I said, your homeschoolers are going to do fine. A homeschool diploma has no more or no less bearing than a public school. So you don't have to worry about if your diploma is going to be valid, because it will be valid. Like I told you guys, I was homeschooled in high school myself, and I went to a community college and I didn't have any problem getting in. I don't even recall going there with like a transcript or anything. I just checked the box saying that I was homeschooled. And when you go to college, you take the exams to enter. So I took the exams, I got my classes. I didn't have any headaches. More than likely, you won't either. So don't even put too much pressure on yourself about the whole transcript or diploma thing, because they understand that there are millions of homeschoolers and they graduate every day. One of the reasons why homeschoolers are so successful in college is because they're used to working at their own pace and, on their own, and they're doing their own thing. So when they go to college and say they're doing online classes, they're used to pulling up their classes, working on a schedule, and successfully completing things. So homeschool really does set them up to be successful in college. Also, another thing, most college classes last about an hour to an hour and 30 minutes, which is the same length of homeschooling. So really just an extension. It's an easy, smooth transition. One of the things your homeschoolers can also do to make their transcript look a little bit better is get a recommendation letter from maybe a place they have volunteered at, maybe you guys' place of worship. They can volunteer at the hospitals, police station, fire stations. Like there's so many, even the vet hospitals. So there's so many different places that you could take your homeschoolers to volunteer that can write them a wonderful recommendation letter that they can have attached to their transcript, and this will make them look so much better. So I hope this answered all your questions pertaining to college, as far as if your homeschoolers can go to college. Do they do good in college? Will college accept them? Will their diploma be valid? The answer is yes, 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 and yes. Now, if you are a homeschooling parent and you live in a state where it's not required that you test them and you still want to test them, let me show you where I test my children for free. First, you're going to come to this website, TEA. Once you get here, you're going to click on the side here where it says State of Texas Assessment of Academic Readiness. Once here, underneath where it says Star Resources, you're going to click on Release Tests. That release test is going to take you exactly where you need to go to find the test so that you can test your homeschooler. Just keep scrolling down and you see here, there's a test for grades 3 all the way up to grades 12. If you don't have a child that is at least in the 3rd grade, then there is not a test for them. Then you just go ahead and click on the subject you want them to do. Usually with my daughter, we'll do math, we'll do reading. As they get older, they add science, history, and other subjects. So you just take them here, you print it all out for your children, and you go ahead and let them answer the questions. You do not have to worry about if you know the answers or not, because right next to it where it says answer key, all you have to do is click on that, and there go all your answers. So if you plan on homeschooling without using a curriculum, I suggest you go ahead and grab one of these books, because it will teach you everything your child needs to know for their grade level, and you can use that knowledge to put together the curriculum by yourself. Now let's get into some resources I absolutely love. Education.com is one of my favorite, because no matter what grade your child is in or what subject you're trying to teach them, they have something for you. All you have to do is type in the subject like you see that I'm doing here, and then you can go ahead and print out. There is a limit to the amount of prints you can do per month for free, but go ahead and make copies of the one you can do and utilize this resource. Next is ABC. Yeah, I love this website for typing. My children have been using this for the last few months, and they have been really learning to type. It's really kids friendly, and they can pick up on these lessons fairly quickly. Next up is PBS Kids. Here they can play games, watch shows, do prints, etc. Next, we have ABC Mouse for Teachers. A lot of people do not know that you can get full access to curriculum for preschool through second grade. I've been using this from the beginning with my homeschoolers, and one thing I really love about ABC Mouse is that you get to pick out exactly what you want them to learn with their curriculum. Like I mentioned before, definitely check out your local library. They always have a ton of resources and fun things for your kids to do. Absolutely love the Home Depot Kids Workshop. This happens on the first Saturday of every month, and this is a great opportunity for your kids to have fun and make friends. Lowe's also offer a free kids workshop. And remember, you do not have to do it in stores, all because it is in stores. You can take the activities home. Your local Michael's Arts and Crafts store have free classes online and in person. Just like Michael's, Joann's also offer arts and craft in store and online. As you can see here, your local YMCA offer homeschool classes, and national parks also have nature walks for homeschoolers. This is my favorite website to find activities for my homeschoolers. Type in kids out and about and your city name. There's almost one in every city. Once you do that, you will see activities for every single day of the year, and you can plan for your homeschoolers to do fun things way in advance. Another thing you can do right in Google is type in events near me. Once you do that, it'll pull up all the events in your area. Another thing you can do is look on your local zoo website. They usually have homeschool classes. They'll tell you the exact dates, time, and price for these classes. And also the museums offer something very similar. I also wanted to remind you guys that there will be places that offer discounts for teachers and students. As a homeschooling family, you do qualify for these discounts. This is another website that offers great ideas for homeschool field trips. All you have to do is click on your state and scroll down. Another thing you can do is type in homeschool conventions in Google, and it'll show you all the homeschool conventions in your area. And this will be a great way for your homeschoolers to connect with other homeschoolers. Something else I wanted to mention is that the library do offer a lot of services outside of tutoring. And so if you need that kind of help, be sure to check that out. Next is the fire department. You can schedule a visit for your homeschooler to take a tour. You can also check out your local city website for events or your stadiums. They usually have education days, and they have special days for homeschoolers as well. So like I mentioned in this video, I do not use any particular curriculum, but these are some of the top curriculums that I know other homeschoolers are using. So if you guys want to check any of these out, feel free. Also, I will be attaching my email. If you have any questions or if I didn't answer anything, feel free to reach out. I am here to help you guys. And guys, remember, now that you know the homeschool laws and you know the different types of homeschool, and now you see the different kind of curriculum, feel free to pick any and get started. So there are a few stores that offer homeschool discounts. Michael's is one of my favorite. You can literally sign up online, get approved the next day, and start saving 15%. Here I'm just showing you guys my account. They will ask you to upload a teacher ID. If you do not have one, you can go to my Etsy store and purchase one for just $6. And this completes the list of my top resources. You guys let me know if you want me to go ahead and create maybe a Facebook page where I just keep updating you guys with resources as I come across them. All right, you guys, so we have officially reached the end of this course. I hope you are leaving here today with the knowledge necessary to homeschool your child. Remember your why. Remember, I told you in the beginning, write down your why, reflect on your why, understand that you got this. You don't need anyone's permission to homeschool and educate your child. You have what it takes to do what millions of other mothers and fathers are doing. I want you guys to stay motivated, stay consistent. Don't compare yourself or your child to others. I know sometimes when you're first starting off, you're thinking to yourself, how are you doing as a homeschooling parent and how your child is doing? Do not compare. This will cause you stress and agony. I know for one of my homeschoolers, she started to read so young that my other homeschooler, she's just barely starting to read at 7. I'm like, oh my gosh, where did I go wrong? Well, the thing is that one was ready to read. She was eager to read. She loves to read. While the other, she loves art. She's been writing since she was a few months, or just doodling since she was a few months. And she's consistently been drawing. So you don't want to compare kids, because even comparing your own children can cause you to second guess yourself. And you don't want to do that. Don't compare yourself, like I said, or your children to anyone else, and that is going to relieve you of some undue anxiety. Bookmark your resources. There are going to be some times where you forget where to get what from and you're kind of confused. Bookmark it, because homeschooling in the beginning can feel like a lot at once. And so if you kind of bookmark everything and keep everything structured, it's going to be easier on you. Another thing you can do in your calendar is to keep a pretty clear schedule on what you're going to do and what you're going to teach on what days. For example, my kids do math Mondays. It's kind of remember because, writing Wednesdays, etc. So you can do something like that, but make up whatever works for you and really just stick to that. Try to stick to whatever you feel like is working for you. Don't change curriculums because you feel like, someone else said this curriculum is better and that. No, stick to whatever it is working, because one curriculum that's working for someone else may not work for you. So go on, get started, and welcome to the homeschool community. Bye, you guys.